Hello, my name is Mark Mahoney. This is my video for my ePortfolio and my reflection piece on the process of the ePortfolio. To start, I was fooled. I thought that 17 years of education, one in Georgia for 5 years and here in Johnson County, Kansas. I thought I've seen a lot, been a part of a lot, been a head coach for 20 seasons, dealt with a lot of different issues that way. Have worked closely with athletic directors and their roles and management. And I'm so thankful for this opportunity because I've learned so much about not the little things, but things I wasn't aware of. I really, really enjoyed being part of the district and how many different things it takes just to run a meeting or a professional development day. I was fortunate enough to get that job as the PE curriculum coordinator and working with the assistant to the superintendent of teaching and learning over the last 8-9 months. How much has changed, what we're looking to do, how we're thinking 2, 3, 4 years ahead of where we're at now. Dealing with 119 different PE teachers with 119 different personalities. Holding a meeting, making people accountable, having the meeting worth their time, put some strain on me and some self-reflection on what I can do better. Some things went great, some things I'm going to improve on the next time. I really enjoyed the ins and outs and interactions with so many different people and hearing their stories and just observing. The one thing I did when I started taking these classes and reflecting was I stopped being a teacher. I started really thinking about my classroom, my department as an administrator. A lot of teachers, and I'm guilty of it too, sometimes we live in a world where it's just me, my classroom, my kids, and I don't have to deal with anything else, which is true in a lot of cases. But that's not where I want to go. That's not where I want to be. So job shadowing middle school, assistant principals, working with directors, being back in the elementary school with a totally different dynamic than what I remember when my kids were there, has really been beneficial to open my eyes to see what a great opportunity it is to be an administrator and to be there for kids in every avenue. You know, I have 150 kids on my roster. Those are my 150 kids. That's all I know. I don't know anybody else. I don't know their ins and outs. Yeah, I know the kid in the hallway, that kind of stuff. But the week-long shadow with an administrator where they're touching 1,000 kids in 1 week and 1,000 different issues is impactful. It can be stressful. It can drive you crazy. But that's why we're in this business, and that's what I thought was so beneficial to doing this portfolio, to taking the next step in my career was to putting that administrator hat on or putting a different pair of shoes on so that I could really live and understand what it takes to be an administrator, to be a leader, to look at the big picture, to be able to, hear complaints, listen to what people have to say, validate what they're saying, and do what's best for the group. Small example, we had a guest speaker come to our professional development day that does wonders with nutrition and the different types of ways of eating and what's available out there. So we brought her in and to come to people's class, but wanted to give an overview. And I had 3 teachers walk out because they didn't believe in what she said. And they sent me a pretty stern email the next day complaining about my judgment and the person that I brought in. 3 out of 119 complained, so that means 116 didn't complain. I had several emails that loved her. This lady's already been in a handful of schools already, touching the lives of many, many kids. But I was very thankful for those 3 emails because if I didn't have them, then I would think there was nothing wrong. And I think that's one thing this portfolio did was it showed that the mistakes we make can be fixable. Are we willing to be open-minded? One thing that an administrator told me that stuck with me is we're moving forward. The old ways of education are not the same. Our environment is not the same. Our culture is not the same. We need to be forward-thinking. We need to be a resource for parents, for students, for other teachers, and try to educate them the best way we can with our ever-changing environment. And I know when I grew up, and even when I first started this job, it was everybody did it the same way. And as you all know, I'm talking to you from a computer. I couldn't do that 15, 20 years ago. The ways of education, the way we interact with our students, interact with our peers, is completely different. And I think that's a good thing. I think change can be a good thing as long as we understand why we're changing and what we're doing. I think we can all benefit from that. I think that's one thing this portfolio has taught me, and all the classes I've taken, is that things change, and we need to be open-minded. We need to use our resources and be there to help each other. One of my biggest takeaways from all this was the amount of work it takes to get one project done, get one day scheduled. It's not just think about it the night before, get it down. It takes a lot of due diligence to prepare for 115, 120, 1,000 people. I was fortunate enough to help run a state championship assembly. We had 3,000 people in our gym. We had the news, we had school board members there. We had to have everything right the same way. And we practiced and communicated for about a week before and after school, during lunch, to make sure everything was perfect. We're a reflection of the community. We're a reflection of our district, and a reflection of myself that helped run that and had to speak in front of all those people. And you know that as a coach, but again, or a teacher, that's just your team, your classroom. It's not everybody involved. And I really took away that this helped me look at big picture, be prepared, think ahead, try to be 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead of schedule, because something's going to happen on a Friday at 3 o'clock that you're not ready for, and you already have things that you had to get done. You don't need to put in, 70, 80 hours a week, but I think you need to understand what you're good at, where your weaknesses are. Find people around you that have those strengths that maybe is a weakness. I think it's important to continue to branch out and be uncomfortable at times, so that you become a better speaker, a better educator, more knowledgeable on school budgets, on special education, on whatever it might be. And that's one of the challenges I've challenged myself, is to get outside of my box and not just eat lunch with the coaches. I work with counselors, have lunch with them, kind of live their life. Sit with an assistant principal that just had a 504 meeting, or go to a board meeting that takes 4 hours, and there's so many issues that I had no clue that was going on because it's not in my building or it's not in my community. And I find it very fascinating and quite a challenge to myself, and something I'm going to take with me when I start interviewing in February is these challenges are exciting. I think as an administrator, you want to be challenged every day. You want to interact with kids. You want to continue to grow. And, I think 17 years of coaching as a head coach, I would say the first 10, I was learning all the time. I'm still learning, but the big fires I think I can put out before they get there. And that's why I want to take this next step in my career. I love what I'm doing, but I think those challenges kind of stay inside you and want you to be a better educator, want you to be a better person. And I love kids. I love being around them, and I think being able to touch many lives of many people that need those adult figures would benefit those kids, and I know it would benefit me. Lastly, the ePortfolio taught me how to manage my time, how to organize my thoughts, how to organize all the paperwork that I did, which has been very, very beneficial, and it's going to help me with my interviews, that I'm able to show some of this stuff that I've done. It's neat, it's concise, it's very easy to read. I've shown Assistant Superintendent to Teaching and Learning this ePortfolio. She loved it. She didn't know that all this stuff was available. I also showed my principal and a couple assistant principals this ePortfolio, and they were very impressed on how it's organized, the expectations we had, and I really enjoyed my reflection and my philosophy in learning and how to put my thoughts into words, to keep it simple, but to have those goals and have those expectations for yourself is very beneficial, and it holds you accountable, and it's been a remarkable year. I hope to graduate here in a couple weeks. I have a master's in health science, so I did the endorsement program. I took 24 hours in one calendar year with 2 kids and a wife with a full-time job and coaching 2 sports. It's been a challenge, and I've loved every minute of it, and I want to thank everybody that's been a part of it, and I wish everybody the best of luck, and thank you for the opportunity.